Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you episode 55 of my Agrarian Skies Hardcore Quest Let's Play. This game pack by Jadedcat is available on the Feed the Beast launcher. I'm getting my Blood Magic LP network charged back up after I did horrible things to it with all of those Reverence of the Condors. From the looks of things back there, seems that I'm just about charged and can finally stop the mass slaughter of villagers. Well, I could, if I wanted to. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Today, it's time to finish up some quests. In my inventory, you can see that I have the Molten Combs, the Carbon Drops, and the Destabilized Drops necessary to complete the last required quest in Bees and Trees. So I'm going to hand those in. And I'm going to claim my left-hand reward bag. 3 hearts. Brings me to 104. And my legendary reward bag contains, this time, a bow with Power 3, Punch 3, Flame 3, and Infinity 3, because we needed 3 times the Infinity. That's kind of awesome. Maybe I'll find a use for it. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, this whole energy bazooka thing seems like it's going to be the better ranged weapon. I wonder if I can enchant this. Hang on. This needs to be attempted. Oh, I almost forgot. Before we go any further, I do have one little bit of news to share. So, last week, a viewer and fellow YouTuber by name of Devilchew made me some fan art, which I think is just fantastic. It is just, I mean, I never expected to have fan art of me. This is strange and confusing and surreal. So, on your left right now, you will see that there is a link to his channel trailer. He is a YouTuber. He does some Minecraft and a couple of other games. Go check him out and tell him Purple Mentat sent me to say thanks for the fan art. Nope. Bad news. No enchanting the energy bazooka. That's okay, though. Alright, so let's see what that opened up for us in the end, because it likely opened up one. One quest available. The Farmer. Interesting. So, I need to create myself a whole bunch of farming goodness. Craft 6 harvesters, 6 planters. Oh, but I crafted all of these, but I did it all automatically. Boo. Alright, I'm going to go get these crafted off screen. But while I'm at it, I'm also going to acquire for myself my project for the day. So you'll notice that I have Opus's map writer in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. Every time I update, it resets to Zan's minimap by default, and then a couple of episodes later I remember, oh yeah, I much prefer Opus, and switch it back over. I'm going to take up my chunk loader from Chicken Chunks, and you'll notice that everything should change colors in a moment. There we go. It's currently set to show loaded chunks in the overlay, and that grid is showing all of the chunks that are in the world. Like, it's showing the chunk boundaries. How do I page up and page down to change zoom levels, by the way? I plan on setting up some chunk loaders that will keep my server loaded when I'm offline. That way, my dirt and my bees and all of my long-term goals can process overnight while I'm asleep, which will be fantastic. To do that, however, is going to be a little difficult. So the Chicken Chunks chunk loader is not configured to work while offline. This may be because it's a little derpy and a little buggy, and for server owners' sake, we wanted Jaded wanted them to not have to try to track down a faulty chunk loader. It may be because, well, a balance issue, because the Chicken Chunks chunk loader is fairly cheap and runs for free. The chunk loader from Mine Factory Reloaded, which will work when offline, is rather expensive, requiring 2 tesseracts, a tesseract frame, and a resonant energy cell each. Also, will not function without lots of power and lots of mob essence. Luckily, I produce a ton of power and a ton of mob essence. So I'm going to do a bit of a count and figure out exactly how many of these I need to keep all of my base loaded at all times, and then I'm going to get crafting them. So I'll be back in a moment when I'm ready to start that project. After doing some math and a little bit of thinking, I've decided that I'm going to stick with my go big or go home mentality. So I'm going to teach my system to make me chunk loaders, because I'm going to use an entire stack of them. Yes, 64 chunk loaders. Why 64? Well, each chunk loader can cover multiple chunks, but it gets really energy expensive, and it is more energy efficient to spend a ton of materials. Now, my system already knows how to make electrum. I don't know if it knows how to make conductance coils. Let's double check. It does not. So we'll teach it conductance coils. There we go. And it knows tesseracts. It knows tesseract frames. It knows plastic sheets. We need to teach it the resonant energy cell, which the resonant energy cell is made from the redstone energy cell. And, whoops. Hang on here. Come on. Function. There we go. I don't believe... Nope, does not know how to make any of the energy cells. Oh boy. So, we're going to need to teach it to make the redstone energy cell, which we're going to need to grab some lead for. Well, nope. We got the right lead, just by random chance. That is actually kind of awesome. Yes, it is. Fantastic. And now I want to teach it. It knows the electrum. It knows the conductance coil. Does not know how to make the energy cell frame full. And unfortunately, that's one that I just need to teach it to make the energy cell frame. It knows how to make hardened glass and electrum ingots. And now I'm going to need to get one of those energy cell frames. And I'm going to need to fill it up myself. Now, the problem is, I have a use for almost all of that redstone. I'm just going to tell it to craft me a stack of conductance coils just right from the start. Because it's going to need to make more electrum. All of that's going to take a while. Going to need at least 4 more stacks of electrum. This is a fun process. Lots and lots of materials being spent. So, I want 1 redstone energy cell frame empty at the moment. There we go. So I have a use for a lot of that redstone. Like 23,000 of it or so, with extra. I kind of don't want to spend my redstone to fill up my energy cell frame if I don't absolutely have to. And I think that I can avoid a lot of that through the use of these destabilized drops that I have coming in from my bees. If I throw them into a magma crucible, I get 50 millibuckets of destabilized redstone. So, I'm going to grab one of these. Oh, that was the intellect drop. Herpaderp. And this is my... Nope. That's the magma crucible I need. So I need to take this up. I need to use a pick for that or it's going to break. And if I tell it to output the destabilized drops, let's see if this works. And it is quickly burning through the destabilized drops to refill. It only takes 4,000 RF to melt down one of these destabilized drops, so that happens in 10 ticks. It's managing 2 per second. Unfortunately, it's also burning through my entire supply of destabilized drops rather rapidly. So if I don't want to use a ton of redstone, I'm going to need to supplement with the destabilized drops. I mean, if I don't want to use a ton of redstone, I'm going to need to supplement my destabilized drop production speed. Which, it's not great. I don't know. I think that I would rather wait for the bees to get me more of those drops than I would create more redstone because I have such a big use for it. Now, liquefacted coal, this stuff I no longer need to be producing carbon drops. So I'm going to go tell my carbon bees to stop that. And I'm going to set up more of the redstone bees. And I'm going to start getting some things crafted. I'm going to need a stack of tesseracts to go along with this plan. There's just a ton of materials and resources I'm throwing at this. So let me go get a bunch of that processing. And I will be back once I have some of what I need so I can start showing you the process that I'm going to be using. After careful consideration and reorganizing my bees a little bit, I realized that I'm actually producing redstone from my bees at a fairly good clip, and there's absolutely no reason not to rely on redstone to produce my destabilized redstone. So I'm going to shut down production on the destabilized drops. They're just not necessary. You would get a little bit more destabilized redstone over time out of the destabilized bees, but I just am not that concerned. It's not that big a deal. And also, you would get this magic wax stuff, but I already have a couple of thousand on it of it, And I'm not really going to be using a whole lot of magic frames or a whole lot of magic capsules or anything like that. So that makes magic wax less than super useful. It'll be great if I ever want to make a bunch of forester candles, which, you know, I believe I can make purple candles out of them somehow. Anyway, moving on. Lots of things cooking. I have over 300 electrum at the moment. I still need more Enderium, which, honestly, I'm just going to have to ask it for a couple of stacks and wait, because I need, well, let me see. I need 3. I'm going to need 4 tesseracts per chunk, and I want to keep 64 chunks loaded. And every tesseract requires 4 Enderium. And every resonant energy cell also requires 4 Enderium. So I need 5 stacks times 4, 320, around 1300 Enderium. Yeah, that one's going to take a while. I'm going to set that working, and we'll get back to that later. For the moment, though, 1380. No, 1280. It's just going to be quite a long time while this processes, and there isn't a whole lot I can do to speed it up. I just want to make sure that it's actually processing before I move much further. Okay, it is. Good. Fantastic. Okay, let us create our very first chunk loader, and I'll show you what it's going to be doing. Make sure that it's actually missing materials, resident energy cell. Did I not teach it how to make the resident energy cell yet? I did not teach it how to make the redstone energy cell yet. That's right. So redstone energy cell frame full and frame begin. I need to tell it that one empty frame becomes 1 full frame. And I'm going to put that recipe into the ME interface that is facing into my fluid transposer full of destabilized redstone. And I should... Resident energy cell. Did I forget a step somewhere? No, it seems to know what it's going on now. Currently crafting resident energy cell. Hang on, let me look into this, figure out why this is happening. Okay, here's the issue, folks. Finally found it. So this chunk loader recipe, by default, has the 10,000 RF per tick energy cell. When they get crafted, they're set to 2,000 RF per tick. So I'm actually going to just replace that energy cell with this energy cell. And now, re-encode, it should be able to do the entire chain. I am going to cancel that one. I'm going to put this energy cell in, and I'm going to tell it to make me 2 more chunk loaders. Begin. Fantastic. This time it is attempting to craft the proper energy cell, and it'll go through the entire chain and create everything that it needs for it. So you can see the energy cell frame went in there, the tesseract frames are going in here, everything is processing properly. Awesome. So now I have automated chunk loader creation. Now, I'm also going to need some tesseracts, which, do I have any extras in my inventory? I do not. Okay. Alright, so now you've seen how everything's going to get crafted slowly over time. So I'm going to create myself a couple more chunk loaders, a couple more tesseracts, and I will be back when I can start setting them up and show you how it's all going to run. Alright, I have a couple of tesseracts and a couple of chunk loaders. Let me show you how this is going to function. I'm going to open my map options back up, and I'm going to set the overlay back to loaded chunks. And I believe that's a green color that you can see right now, and that shows what is being loaded by the player. There'll be kind of a bluish color that'll show what is loaded by chunk loaders. So let's set up, for example, one right here in the middle of everything. What I need to do is I need to set this actually to my spawner frequency. You know what? I'm going to need to supply a lot more power to my spawner frequency to make this happen over time, but that's okay. And back where I'm supplying fluid to my spawner frequency, I'm going to set this up to moving an entire bucket per tick, because I'm going to need to supply all of these chunk loaders with a lot of mob essence. I'm going to set my chunk loader right on top, and it will get power. It can hold a lot of power. I can't even really read that without commas. Hang on. 2,147,483,647 redstone flux. It is currently using 200 redstone flux per tick, which, I mean, that's not terrible. However, it's also only loading the chunk that we're standing in. The reason I'm going to use a whole bunch of these chunk loaders, oh, and as you can see, it uses, well, if I pull off that, if I tell this tesseract actually to stop receiving fluids, you can see that it does not use mob essence very quickly. So, no problem there. But like I said, it's only loading the chunk that I'm standing in. The reason I want to use a whole bunch of chunk loaders instead of a few carefully placed, if I increase the radius by 1, well, with most chunk loaders that would load a 3x3 area. With this, it loads a little plus shape for a total of 5 chunks at 1,391 RF. Well, 5 of these could load the same set of chunks for 1,000 RF. That's a pretty significant amount of extra energy spent on just using less chunk loaders. And I think it's using less mob essence, because it seems to use the same amount of mob essence no matter what it's set on. For example, I can crank this up even higher to a 2 chunk radius. And that's the maximum, I believe. And it's using 3,503 RF per tick. And as you can see, it's loading this nice little cross section, 3x3 with 4 extra for a total of 13 chunks. That would be 2,600 RF if I used 13 chunk loaders. And so I'm spending an extra 900 RF, which would be like 5 more chunks it could load. But I'm still spending the same amount of mob essence. So I guess the real benefit is you're saving mob essence. Thing is, I'm generating so much mob essence so fast. I have 16,000 buckets of it saved up, and I'm literally flushing it down into the void because I keep generating too much too quickly. So I feel like the better option here is to save the energy and spend the mob essence and other materials that I have tons of, because I don't want to have to start upgrading this whole reactor setup yet. And honestly, to be able to support all of the chunk loaders that I'm going to build, I am still going to actually need to upgrade the reactor setup. But that also doesn't need to happen today. Right now, I'll be able to get everything up and running without needing to upgrade things. So I'm actually going to let this guy sit here and burn off all of as much of the energy and mob essence as it can to keep things loaded for a while, because I want to put things underneath. And I'm going to start setting everything up to get this whole base loaded. Now, I definitely could be a little choosy about what I load and only load certain really high priority chunks. For example, these 4 around the reactor to make sure that the reactor is always loaded. Those would be high priority chunks. But instead, I choose to just load as much as I can. I mean, I want the whole base loaded, and I know that I'm probably going to want some more room to build more automated systems in. So my plan is to actually load an 8x8 area, starting from that corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This entire block will be loaded. And that's definitely overkill, but like I said, go big or go home. All right, going to start letting everything process in the ME system. I've got 5 more chunk loaders and 3 tesseracts, but who knows how many of those are actually like for use and how many of them are for the chunk loaders. So this is going to take a while. I'm going to be letting this run for a significant amount of time while I'm like doing laundry or something. And once I have everything all loaded, I will be back. Well, folks, it has been a bad couple of days for recording. I had about 10 minutes worth of footage all recorded before I noticed that my microphone was muted. So I'm going to do a quick recap on everything that I covered in those 10 minutes. I have my chunks all loaded up now. I believe 32 of them. 4 by 6 is 24, and then 32. Yep, 32 chunks currently loaded. And I'm intending to leave it at that and only expand as I expand my base. Because right now, every last little bit of the base is loaded. There are an awful lot of entities over in that chunk. I love Opus. It's just so much so nice, so much fun. Meantime is good. Okay, so everything's good. You can see I've got, well, this guy's almost out of, oh no, he's completely out of power and everything, so I can actually recollect him. I just need my, there. And this should stay loaded, but I'll find out in a moment. Okay, what else have I done? Well, I set up to go into the Nether and start collecting mass amounts of dirt. And let me show you how I went about doing that. First thing I did is I made 2 Woven Diggers backpacks. And the Woven Diggers backpack is made, well, I have it in resupply mode right now, so I can't show you the recipe. You put in a normal Digger's backpack, which is some stone, some wool, some string, and a chest, into a carpenter, there, with a bucket of water, 7 of those woven silk that I showed you how to make with the sieve upgrades, and a diamond. And this will hold 45 stacks, or about, I think almost a double chest. I think a double chest holds 60, or 54. I'm not sure. Anyway, it holds an awful lot of goodies. And you can have it on resupply mode, which means when I go into the Nether at my quarry, for example, I have 43 stacks of dirt and netherrack in this bag. If I hold shift and right click on this crystal chest, it all goes into the crystal chest. And then it all gets sucked out of the crystal chest into that item duct, into that tesseract. And it really didn't like me doing that. So, for future reference, do not right click on a tesseract with a backpack in resupply mode. It will kick you right off the server. So, that is set on the default, and it is sending items because it's also the one for our ender quarry. Now, speaking of the ender quarry, if I take a look at my map, you'll notice that that chunk way over there is loaded. Well, the reason for that is that whole path I dug out and put fences in so that my ender quarry would have a whole bunch more area to cover. And if I right click, well, no, if I right click the ender quarry, I can see that it's gone through 1,100 blocks, and it is not even 1% complete yet. And if I change this overlay to the grid and give it a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be about 12 chunks by 12 chunks, or 144 chunks. You need to multiply your 144 by 16 times 16 for 36,864 blocks per layer, which at 128 layers is a potential of 4 million blocks in that area. So yeah, I'll have plenty of dirt available for the digging once that's all done, and hopefully I'll find another iridium or 2 in there. This is the process that I'm going through to collect up the dirt that I do have. And what am I doing? Oh boy. I'm trying not to let those lava falls become a problem. I should grab my void sigil. That would make life a little easier. One of the things that I did not off camera, on camera, but muted, was I upgraded my golden bag of holding to reincarnating, as a number of people suggested. You just use some of that magic wood to make it happen. And I have quite a bit of magic wood from quests, but if you need to make your own magic wood, it's a simple case of a bunch of gold. Any enchanted books, they need to have an actual enchantment on them, and a bookcase. Alright. So, what else is on the agenda? Oh, where's all this dirt going once it gets back to my base? Well, let me show you. Okay, so this is where all of that dirt is going. I've set up a cyclic assembler chain to turn dirt into compressed dirt into double compressed dirt, and double compressed dirt into triple compressed dirt, which then gets turned into quadruple compressed dirt. And if I look up dirt, I can see that I have 17 out of 100 quadruple compressed dirt. And at 6,561 dirt per block, that right there is 111,537 dirt. And I need another 83 blocks, or 544,563 dirt. I'm going to be digging for a while. which is why I got myself these digger's backpacks to make the entire process go a whole lot smoother. I can just basically dig it all out, run over, right-click both of these into that chest, and by the time I get back with another full load of 90 stacks, they will have completely emptied out. Trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. Let me double check. Ah, right, one more very important thing. How could I forget? I completed the end quest, The Farmer. Now, the first task was to craft a whole bunch of MFR farming type things that you've already seen me make. I just had to redo it manually instead of doing it through the ME mass assembly chamber. And the second task was to consume a whole bunch of wool, raw chicken, raw fish, raw pork chop, raw beef, and a handful of seeds from Hungercraft. Or maybe Pam's. I'm not entirely certain. In any case, for completing this, I receive an epic reward bag containing 4 more speed runes and a full heart, bringing me to 105 lives. And I am now 42% completed with the end. Fantastic. And I think it's time to start doing a couple of side quests. Actually, I think right now it's time to do the Hell's Kitchen quest. The final one in that chain is easily available to me at the moment. Let me just make sure I have all of the pre-materials already made. Okay, so I've taught my system to make bread out of 3 wheat because I have 15k wheat, and that's just excessive. It now knows how to make a bacon cheeseburger out of a cheeseburger and a cooked pork chop, and I have 1,000 cooked pork chop. It knows how to make a bacon mushroom burger out of a bacon cheeseburger with both types of mushrooms that I have. So I'm going to tell it to create me bacon cheeseburger. I need 1,000 of them. Get that going. Check the crafting monitor. Oh, it needs toast for cheeseburgers? That's going to take a while. Alright, you know what? Cancel that. I, instead, going to take all of the bread that I have, and I'm going to toss it into my ovens. And I'll be back once that all turns into toast, and then we can see the power of the ME system moving at full speed. Be right back. Alright, 999 toast. Awesome. So, I need to make me them bacon mushroom burgers. Bacon, mushroom. I have 1. Well, actually I have 0. That's okay. I'm about to have 1,000. Yes. Fantastic. Alright, once that process is through, well actually no. I'm just going to grab one out and start feeding them into the quest. Because I have the QDS set up upstairs. Alright. Hell's Kitchen. Not so fast food, the final task in this quest chain. Oh, hey, no. Stop that. Actually, you know what? I was going to get rid of all of my soup, wasn't it? Yeah, getting rid of all the mushroom soup, probably not a bad thing. I really don't need to have it. It's not a very useful liquid to keep. And I have 4,000 buckets of it. Yeah, let's empty that out. I'm happy emptying that out. In fact, while I'm at it, are there any other buckets that I want to empty out? Maybe the meat. Lava's too useful. Even if I have, 25,000 buckets of it. I have exactly 1 bucket of honey. That's a little weird. Ethanol I'm not really using. Biofuel, 586 buckets. Nah, nothing that important. But 4,000 buckets of... Yeah, that can go. Where was I? Oh yeah, sorry. I got distracted. No more spaghetti and meatballs. Bacon mushroom burgers. Here. I'll eat one of those. I don't know why that QDS is over there. And set to not so fast food. And it's feeding bacon mushrooms burgers in basically just as fast as I can make them. Well, now definitely just as fast as I can make them. Awesome. So that'll complete between this episode and next episode I can hand that in and see what next quest there is in the end waiting for me. For the hoarding. Let me double check the numbers on even more storage. I think I might have enough Certus now. Never mind. Definitely do not have the Certus quartz quite yet. I need almost 9,000 Certus quartz, and I only have about 5,800 at the moment. But I've got plenty of nether quartz, so I'm going to start turning that into the silicon I need, because I'm going to need something on the order of 4,000 silicon to make this. And as great as using raw plastic is, I only have about 400 of that in my system at any one time. And, I mean, I've got the rubber. Actually, I have a ton of rubber. Hang on a moment. Let me think if there's a way to do this efficiently. Alright, I've decided that with 13,000 nether quartz, that's my best bet, as I'm going to be gathering up even more of it, and it'll take the least extra configuration. So I'm going to tell it to keep me 4096 nether quartz dust in the system at all times. And, well, I guess I could tell it to keep me that many silicon, at least for now. Yeah, why not? And that's going to burn the nether quartz dust. And you know what? I had another one here that was set up for... Can I get it? Nope. Damn. No. This is just the best way. I can grab what nether quartz dust there is, and... yeah. Because that guy will be kept full by what is being produced now. Yeah, that'll do. And I'll just supplement the speed of things with this. So between episodes, I'm going to let this process until I have all of the silicon that I need. And the Certus will gather itself up until I have plenty of that. Hopefully I will have enough overnight, since these chunk loaders should keep everything running smoothly. Checking this in the morning is going to be quite interesting. And I think that is... yeah, that's everything for quests. Alright, so, plans for tomorrow. See what the end has to hold for me now that Hell's Kitchen is going to be complete. Grab up my disassembled system for producing soul sand and put that back in action, because the soul sand that I got from running the first nether quarry, not really worth it. And, I mean, as great as, well, no, soulful wax. I have enough to make another, couple of thousand soul sand. Speaking of which, let's teach the system how to do that. So, soul sand, 4 soulful wax, 1 dirt, 1 dirt, and 4 sand. That might work. Sand, weak blood, water bucket, that'd be a pain. Alright, never mind. I shouldn't be trying to make plans right now. I am, it is late and I am tired, and my chestnut has grown. That's what the actual chestnuts look like when they're fully grown, and just about every leaf block will give you one. I gotta check something here. A little bit of live testing on camera. Let's see if the industrial grafter, if I even have that in. Of course I don't. It's over here. Let's see if the industrial grafter will get me a ton of chestnut saplings and a ton of chestnuts. Sure will. I love this thing. So yeah, I'm going to be more than set on seed oil for the future. Alright, that's going to be me done for the day. So, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and that you are enjoying the series so far. If you are, please leave a thumbs up. Tell me what you're liking. If you are not, please leave a thumbs down. Tell me what you don't like. And I will see you next time.